Hi guys, you are welcome back to the Finance Edge with Matimaewa. I'll be talking about how you can pass your advanced audit and assurance. And I'll be starting with how I passed my advanced audit and assurance after the third attempt. So to start with, advanced audit and assurance is one of the elective papers that you have to choose from if you are writing the professional level of ACCA exam. And it is also a challenging paper, as is one of the papers with the lowest global pass rate as well. It is important to let you know that it's actually much more difficult to pass advanced audit and assurance if you are leveraging only on knowledge, because the audit and assurance paper at the skill level leverage mainly on, let's say, knowledge. That is, most questions are relatively knowledge based and you can get away with some of the good marks if you are very sound with audit and assurance knowledge. But at the advanced audit and assurance level, it is quite difficult to pass this paper with knowledge. In fact, knowledge is just 10% of all you need to pass advanced audit and assurance. The knowledge that you have acquired at the skill level will be put to test at the advanced level, which is one of the reasons examiner always advise that if you have a good auditing background, you stand a better chance of passing advanced audit and assurance on time. Not to say that without a audit field experience, you cannot pass advanced audit and assurance, because I, for one, I never worked in audit field before, but one of the reasons it took me 3 attempts to pass my audit and assurance, advanced audit and assurance paper, was because at the time I was taking it with advanced performance management. And to take APM and AAA together, it takes a lot of dedication and a lot of seriousness to be able to pass these two papers together. So over time, I identified that there is a need for me to take each of these papers in isolation so that I can have enough time to leverage all my energy and my time for study on each of these papers. So my advice to anyone who is combining two papers at once is that know what works for you, because you don't want to be throwing money away in an instance that you are so sure that to pass might be seemingly difficult. That is, combining two papers at a time might be seemingly difficult. So you want to be sure you are ready for these two papers before you go ahead and book the two papers. In my own case, I was working at the time, and I believe with some of the experience that I have, these two papers should not be difficult for me to overcome. And as a result of that, I kept writing these two papers over and over again with marginal failure of 48, 47, and so on. So I decided to take advanced performance management alone, which I was able to devote my resources, my time, and I was able to pass it. The same thing for advanced audit and assurance. I took it recently in the month of March this year, and I passed it after 3 major attempts. How do I go about moving from 37, which was my very first attempt, to scoring 45 and now scoring above 50? So one of the major things I did well was that I ensured that I start from scratch. When I say start from scratch, I assume zero knowledge, because like I said earlier, knowledge is not enough to pass advanced audit and assurance. I assumed zero knowledge, despite the fact that I know what a working paper is all about, audit procedure is all about, audit risk, and all of the relevant topics. I assume this knowledge are not majorly important, because I need to get into practical. I need to be practical about anything I'm doing at this stage. So to pass advanced audit and assurance, number one thing you must be very sure of is that you are fully committed to it, 100%. And when I say full commitment, I mean your time is devoted solely to these papers, so that you can be so sure you are exploiting other opportunities in terms of resources like this on YouTube, some of the study materials. You even have a study group that you discuss things together. And this is one of the advantages you stand to get when you focus solely on a single paper. So my first strategy was to write this paper alone, rather than combining it with advanced performance management, which I used to do before. So I passed my APM in December 2023, which moved me to one paper to my final exam. So I wrote my March diet, which we just recently got the results. And part of the things I did within 6 weeks of, between December and writing the exam in March was that I ensure zero knowledge, like I said. Then I devoted all of my energy, my time to rigorous study. And my study was 80% practice. Practice, I will continue to say. 80% practice and 20% studying. There are some questions you might struggle with in advanced audit and assurance. Let's say like audit of a group account and, all of the PFI, due diligence, forecasting, things that has to do with, non-audit service. You just have to map out your strategy. I devoted 80% to practice because with all of the knowledge I've acquired through the 20% studying, I need to see how to demonstrate some of these during my exams. Unlike before, I would rather just do 1 or 2 exam practice because I'm not someone who like to practice before exam. I would rather do just 1 or 2 practice and console myself that I'm done. But when I was ready and intentional about passing this diet, what I did was to devote my whole energy to studying. I studied aggressively and I practiced aggressively. And it is during practice you will be able to identify those areas that you feel you are lacking. It could be business risk. It could be audit risk. For instance, there are different exam techniques to answering a business risk and an audit risk. Because in a business risk, you do not have any calculation that you have to do. You do not have any materiality you have to justify. But in a business risk, you are also looking at the implication of the business risk on different aspects of the business. It could be in terms of reputation. It could be in terms of cash flow. It could be in terms of profitability and revenue generation, etc. Those are the implications you are linking your risk to. But for the audit risk, you are looking at what is the benchmark that I've set in terms of materiality, and does this identified risk exceed this materiality? Therefore, are they significant or not? If they are significant, what is the impact of some of this risk on the overall account? For instance, let's say there's an overstatement of a revenue. So what implication will this have on the audit exercise, on the report itself? So you want to be sure you have mapped out how to excel in each of these category areas of the exam. Having understood what you need to do in relation to your business risk and your audit risk, then you move down to what? To your audit procedure. Your audit procedure also have different criteria and different measurement that the examiner is looking for. For instance, if you are told to write an audit procedure for the valuation of an intangible asset, the key word there is valuation. So, for instance, if the examiner also say you should give an audit procedure for measurement of intangible assets, the key word there is measurement. Until you have identified what this key area that you are to provide audit procedure for is looking at, that is when you can get each of your relevant 1 mark per procedure. And there are techniques to also writing a procedure. A procedure that must be case specific, it must contain action, it must contain source, and it must contain purpose. These are relevant metrics that you need to include while writing your audit procedure. Now that we are done with writing a value-adding procedure, you move to your ethics, which is the third question in line as far as the compulsory question is all about. So when you get to your ethics question, there are different ways to also answer ethics question. Number 1, you need to first identify where the ethical dilemma or ethical risk is coming from. Is it a familiarity threat, or is it an advocacy, or let's say a self-interest or self-review threat? Having identified, you need to explain how this risk arose. That is, the threat that you are examining, how does this threat actually emanated? Then after that, you are looking at the significance of this threat on the audit exercise itself. If it's a self-interest review or self-interest threat rather, or self-review threat, you want to look at it from the angle of who are the parties involved. Is it the engagement partner or the entire audit member? This is going to create huge, significant and conflict of interest when it comes to, doing their work with plain mind. You want to be sure you identify a significant that this threat will create. What significance does this threat hold in this scenario? Then afterward, you go to the available safeguard. Your safeguard is going to tell you what you need to do to mitigate this issue. Should we remove the engagement partner, or should we replace the entire audit members, or should we reject the entire assignment? These are safeguards that are already part of your knowledge that you've acquired in the syllabus that you need to now start relating to the scenario. Then you give a conclusion. There are 4 major things I've mentioned here now. Number 1, you need to first of all identify. 2, you give explanation. 3, you must give the significance. And 4, you must give a safeguard. And 5, conclude. If you can do all of these 5 things, you will surely get all your relevant marks when it comes to how to answer an ethical dilemma question in an audit and assurance paper. All of these things I've mentioned are basically what you will come across in your question number 1, which is 50 marks. They are certain. They are very, very assuring. So to pass it, it's very easy if you can develop good exam techniques as a result of practice, question practice on the CBE platform. You need to demonstrate some of these skills while practicing. For instance, professional skepticism, your commercial acumen, you are looking at your analysis and evaluation and communication skills. These are important areas you want to exploit very well so you can gain reasonable marks to be able to get a pass in your advanced audit and assurance. Do not forget, this paper is purely practical in nature, not theoretical. Your theoretical knowledge must be translated into the practical aspect of it. So you need to put into application all of the knowledge you've gathered in your audit and assurance, and during the course of studying the syllabus for advanced audit and assurance, then bring it into reality during your exam practice. And in my opinion, you must at least practice up to 10 major papers or questions on the CBE platform to convince yourself. And when you practice, ensure you get a third party to review it. You can send it to your mentor, you can send it to your tutor, you can send it to any of your professional friends who have passed the exam to help you have a look at it and tell you what you need to do better. So advanced audit and assurance is a paper that until now, I felt I may not be able to pass it because I'm lacking audit field experience knowledge. But I can tell you that you can pass this exam with a good exam techniques. And your good exam techniques will only come when you practice more than enough questions. You need to understand that at this stage, at the point where you are being tested to become a value-adding and a competent auditor, it won't be about the knowledge of the ISAs or all of the relevant accounting standards. It will be about the applicability. How best can you also demonstrate audit competence? That is what the paper is all about. So if you have been failing at 30, it is a pure case of knowledge. You need to get more knowledge. And it could be as a result of poor time management. That is also one of the reasons people fail advanced audit and assurance. Another reason people fail it is because they don't answer all the questions. And I can confirm to you that during my own exam, I was able to finish all of my questions under 3 hours, I think 5 minutes. Yes. So it means the entire exam is for 3 hours, 15 minutes, but I was able to finish it 3 hours, 5 minutes. I had 10 minutes left to review what I need to correct, what I need to modify, and what I need to take out in terms of if I have included anything in my, maybe any question that is not supposed to be there or marks allocated, just copying and pasting issue. I had enough time to take care of all of those things and also to modify areas where I feel I did not explain better. So you can only get to this level of finishing your paper under 3 hours, 10 minutes or 5 minute duration only if you have practiced so well. Because one of the major killer of time is dwelling so long on the question number 1, which is a 50 marks. So your strategy of either starting with question number 1, then you go for the other elective questions, they are best known to you. The most important thing is how you can get better. In my own case, I started with question number 1. The reason was because I knew all I need to do under 1 hour 40 minutes to finish all the question number 1 on time. I know the amount of risk I need to identify and justify under the given duration. The same thing for ethical question or the ethical threats. I was able to do it under 7 minutes. The same thing for audit procedure. I knew what I needed to write when it comes to, I already know the examiner is talking about the valuation. So all of my audit procedure were centered on valuation. If it is on measurement, let it be on measurement. If it is on recognition, let it be on recognition. That is how you can get a full mark for all of the, audit procedures you write in your exams. So the section B part is predominantly pretty straightforward as well. You have a particular aspect of the syllabus area here that is very sure to come out, which is reporting. Go fine-tune your skill. Go and fine-tune your skill in audit reporting. And when you are reading for reporting question, ensure you read it with the mindset of, I want to understand how to write an audit report. And take a real-life audit report of renowned organizations like Barclays, like HSBC, that are available on the internet. Look at how the auditors wrote audit report, because there are some terminologies in the auditor's report, like the emphasis of matter paragraph, like let's say key audit matters, and so on and so forth, or other paragraph or other audit matters that you do not even know about. So the examiner might just carve out a scenario in that regard for you to just address and tell us if there is any inconsistency with the other matter paragraph and the entire work. If the management is saying this thing and it is in contradiction to what the auditors has actually audited. So you need to identify where there is a gap and also probe further on this, or tell management to make correction for this. Your audit reporting skill is very, very important, because there will surely be a question in that area. And it could be in line with, let's say, anything that has to do with going concern. It could be tested in different ways. So ensure you also practice question on this area. And also, you have another area that is sure to come out. That is anything that is non-audit related, like the PFI, you have due diligence, you also have, there is forensic audit. Yes, these are very, very straightforward that will come out. So you just need to make sure you manage and perfect your skill in relation to all of these mentioned area. Once you are able to perfect all your exam skills in relation to how to answer a PFI question, how to answer a due diligence question, how to answer a forensic audit question, then you are good to go. These are the major things that comes out in the exams that makes people to just waste time, because they have not practiced and they have not identified how long it will take them to address each of these questions. If you have practiced more than enough, you would have get familiar with how long it will take you to answer an audit risk question, how long it will take you to answer an audit procedure question, and so on and so forth. So I'm challenging you today to dwell so much on practice rather than reading theory and all of that. You cannot pass advanced audit and assurance with a theoretical knowledge. Like I said, the knowledge that you need to pass with is just 10% of it. You only need knowledge to understand the terminologies and all of the story behind the scenario painted before you. Because without the knowledge, you will not know when to identify if, number one, the scenario says the company is a listed entity. The way you treat a listed entity in an audit is different from a non-listed entity. And your materiality threshold is also a function of if the organization is listed or not. In most cases, you can justify it based on that you chose 7% of, let's say, PBT because this is a high-risk audit, the firm is listed, and also there are a lot of audit-related issues that has not been resolved with the management during the course of reviewing the work. These are essential things you need to gather in the knowledge area. You only need the knowledge to be able to supplement and support your assertions during your practice or answering questions in the exam. Please do not make effort to read too much on theory. take time to study everything and also make attempts to practice everything. Practice is the most important skill you need to get to pass your advanced audit and assurance. And I wish you all the very best. In case you have any question for me, please drop a comment on the link. Let me see what you have in mind and give me questions that you feel I did not address. Then I will drop a comment or also give an answer to your questions at the bottom of this video. Please ensure you stay tuned and subscribe to this YouTube channel, as I will be bringing more updates on how you can address each or some of these topical areas in your future exams. I wish you all the very best, and please do not forget to drop a comment in case I do not address any other area of this paper. Thank you so much and have a wonderful exam.